أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum. Today's talk is a very important talk on the topic of listening to the Kitabullah, the Samat of the Kitab-e-Aziz. What is meant by paying heed to the messages of the Al-Furqanul Hakim. Today I am going to seek references from the Kitabullah from the verse number 20 to verse number 24 of the Surah Al-Anfal and seek guidance with the permission of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a very important address to the people who have attained to the faith. In the verse number 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the mu'mineen. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu atiyu Allah wa rasulahu wa la tawallaw anhu wa antum tasma'un. Meaning, O you who have attained to faith, pay heed unto God and his apostle, and do not turn away from him now that you hear his message. Let us pay heed and concentrate on the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing to the people who have attained to faith. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. O those individuals from the mankind who have attained to the faith. Atiullah wa rasulahu. Obey Allah and his apostle. Wala tawallaw anhu, and do not turn away from him, from this message. Wa antum tasmaun, and as you hear the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, do not turn away from the messages of the Kitabullah. In the verse number 21, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has further reiterated and given a very straightforward and distinct message to the people who have attained to faith. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَهُمْ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ. Meaning, and not be like those who say we have heard while they do not hearken. Let us concentrate. Wala takunu kallazina, and do not become like those individuals, like those people, like those kind of community who say kalu, who say samena, that we have listened to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. We have paid heed to the messages of Kitab-e-Aziz. We have heard the messages of Kitab-e-Aziz. Wahum la yasmaun, but rather they have not taken the messages of the Kitabullah to their heart. They haven't paid heed to the messages of the Kitab-e-Aziz. In the verse number 22, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Inna sharrad dawabi indallahil summul bukmul lazina la ya'qilun. Verily, the vilest of all creatures in the sight of the God are those deaf, those dumb ones who do not use their reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking here. Inna sharrad dawabi indallahi. Indeed, the vilest, the worst, the most disagreeable, the most vulgar of all the creations in the sight of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the eyes of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the eyes of the God, which is the worst of all the creation, which is the most disagreeable of all the creations in the sight of the God of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Summul Bukmu, those individuals that who are deaf of their ears, who are deaf. meaning here, who are spiritually deaf. They do not pay heed to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz. They do not concentrate on the message of the Kitabullah. Al-Bukmu. And they are dumb, they are mute, they are silent, they are speechless. Allazina la yaqilun. And those individuals who do not use their reasoning. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in this verse that the most disagreeable, the most vulgar, the worst and the vilest of all of his creations are those deaf and dumb ones who do not pay heed to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, and they do not use their reasoning, they do not use logic. This is quite contrary to the common practice amongst the Muslim community of finishing the recitation of the Kitabullah without paying heed to what is written in the verses of the Kitab-e-Aziz. So this verse is practically is against those practices. It is speaking against those practices, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rather described those individuals, those practices who are reciting the Kitab-e-Aziz, reciting the message of the Kitabullah, but they are spiritually deaf and dumb, and they do not know what has been said to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the verse number 23, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَوْ عَلِمَ اللَّهُ فِيهِمْ خَيْرَ اللَّهِ أَسْمَعَهُمْ وَلَوْ أَسْمَعَهُمْ لَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. Meaning, for if God had seen any good in them, he would certainly have made them hear. But as it is, even if he had made them hear, they would surely have turned away in their obstinacy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَوْ عَلِمَ اللَّهُ فِيهِمْ خَيْرًا. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has seen any goodness in them, لَأَسْمَعَهُمْ, then he would have made them hear. He would have made them pay heed to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz. وَلَوْ أَسْمَعَهُمْ لَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. But if it happens that the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz reaches them and they listen to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, what they do? They turn away and they do i'raz from the Kitabullah, from the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz. In the verse number 24 of the Surah Al-Anfal, a very meaningful and spiritual message has been given to the people who have attained to faith. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu stajibu lillahi walir rasuli iza da'akum lima yuhyikum wa'lamu anna allaha yahulu bainal mar'i wa qalbihi wa annahu ilayhi tuhsharun. Meaning, O you who have attained to faith, respond to the call of God and the apostle whenever he calls you unto that which will give you life, and know that God intervenes between man and the desires of his heart, and that unto him you shall be gathered. Let us concentrate and pay heed to this very important message which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, all those individuals, all those people who have attained to faith. Astajibu lillahi walir rasuli. Respond iza da'akum. Respond to the call of Allah, of God and his apostle whenever you are called. The message of the Kitab-e-Aziz are universal. So whenever the message of the Kitabullah, whenever the call of the Quran-e-Hakim reaches you, respond to the message of the Kitabullah. Respond to the call of God and the apostle which is bringing this message unto you. So what will happen whenever you respond to the message of the Kitabullah? Lima yuhyikum. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if you respond to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, it will give you life. It will give you a new life. It will give your soul the spiritual awakening. So those individuals who have not taken the message of the Kitabullah to their heart, and they don't know what are the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are spiritually dead. And responding to the call of God, Allah, and His apostle, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, this will give spiritual life to the dead souls. And in the closing part of this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Wa'lamu, take full notice of this, be knowledgeable of this fact, Anna Allah yahulu bainal mar'i wa qalbihi, that God, Allah, intervenes between the man and his desires. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got the knowledge of whatsoever is there in our hearts, in our chests. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. He intervenes between a person and his desires. Wa annahu ilayhi tuhsharun, and unto him you shall all be gathered. With this, I am closing today's talk with a very important message, that what is the samat of the Quran Hakim? What is meant by listening to the Kitabullah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has quite straightforwardly and very clearly stated, distinctly stated in these verses of the Surah Al-Anfal, verse number 20 to 24, that do not become those individuals who say that we have listened to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, but rather they have not listened. They don't know the meaning, what has been told to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described those individuals and those practices as the worst among all the creations, who are deaf and dumb to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, and they do not use their reasoning. And in the verse number 24, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained to the believers that respond to the call of God and His apostle, so that with this, what will happen? This will give spiritual awakening of your soul. Practically, in terms of the Quranic language, the individuals who are immune to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, who are not responding to the message of the Kitab-e-Aziz, they are spiritually dead. Responding to the call of God and His apostle will give spiritual awakening of our souls. And be knowledgeable of this fact, that God is always there. He is intervening between a person and his desires, and unto him we shall all be gathered. I seek Allah's forgiveness if there's any shortcoming in the delivery of the message. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين جزاكم الله خير.